At Cal Poly Pomona, the most prestigious honor a faculty member can achieve is the Provost's Awards for Excellence. After undergoing a rigorous selection process, 3 awards are presented each year to recognize exceptional faculty members for excellence in teaching, service, and scholarly and creative activities. Recipients of the Excellence in Teaching Award demonstrate outstanding classroom performance by providing students with new, innovative content and also play an active role in students' education outside the classroom. The Excellence in Service Award recipients show exemplary contributions both in and out of the classroom in ways that benefit their departments, their college, their profession, and the university. Award recipients for excellence in scholarly and creative activities advance existing knowledge through investigation and analysis and publicly distribute this information or celebrate original artistic endeavors. Each Provost's Award recipient receives recognition during commencement, a chance to showcase their work at the annual University Symposium, a monetary award, as well as their name remaining in perpetuity on the Provost's Awards for Excellence wall in the University Library. The Provost's Awards for Excellence are a distinguished honor to highlight faculty members who contribute to their students, their discipline, and to Cal Poly Pomona.
I am the Vice Provost. No, I'm the Provost. I'm the Provost. Apparently, I do need the glasses. Okay, so my name is Jennifer Brown, and I am the Provost and Vice President of Academic Affairs. And I want to thank you for joining me at my inaugural Provost Awards for Excellence Symposium. Not the first, but my inaugural. I can honestly say that I am beyond the moon excited. I am humbled to be here and to serve as your Provost. The more I learn about the campus, the more I learn about its programs, and more importantly, the more I learn about the people, I am humbled and honored to serve alongside of you. I had the opportunity to have lunch yesterday with Doctors Beardsley, Nelson, and Chang. It was a lively lunch, I want to tell you. We met yesterday at the restaurant at Kellogg Ranch up the hill at our Collins College for Hospitality Management. Now, I'll share with you that there's a lot of great things on the menu. This isn't in the remarks, but you should try the burger. The burger was really good. And a little birdie told me that this burger attempts to mimic something that the provost had when she was a faculty member at Purdue. So I'm just letting you know, the burger was good. It was a wonderful opportunity to get to know faculty, and as many of you know, I've been spending time getting to know the folks on the campus. It was a great opportunity to connect with each of them and to learn about what inspires faculty. I intended to learn more about them on a more personal level, but just to show the caliber of folks that we have in this room, they selflessly focused on the conversation of you, the folks in this room. They talked about their peers. They talked about ways that we could enhance the university. Specifically, Dr. Beardsley talked about the importance of faculty professional development. Dr. Phyllis Nelson discussed the need for space where faculty can collaborate and the need for forums where faculty can learn about how the campus works. And Dr. Chang shared how critical it is that we build our research infrastructure. Collectively, they stressed the importance of providing opportunities for faculty engagement to build a stronger sense of belonging. They emphasized faculty mentoring, how others balance projects and teaching portfolios. And although I wanted to know about what inspired them, their focus was on you. I found the conversation both inspiring, I found it uplifting, and it made me eager to start the college tours again or to find other ways to engage, to learn and get to know more faculty. For those of you who have never participated in the Provost Awards for Excellence Symposium, we are here to celebrate outstanding contributions of faculty to Cal Poly Pomona, their disciplines, and to their students. And so today's honorees represent the very best of Cal Poly Pomona's teacher-scholar model. I would like to recognize our 2021-22 honorees. please stand when I call your name, and please join me in a warm round of applause for our recipients. So first, Dr. Paul Beardsley for excellence in teaching. Dr. Phyllis Nelson for excellence in service. And Dr. Wen Chang for excellence in scholarly and creative activities. The Provost Award for Excellence awardees are selected by their peers to have demonstrated the highest qualities of personal and professional leadership, to carry on the legacy of the award through their distinguished record of achievement of excellence in teaching, service, and scholarly and creative activities. To celebrate the achievement, the awardees, as you saw, receive a cash award, their name etched on a wall of excellence in the university library. They are honored at their respective college commencement ceremony, which was fun, and their work is recognized at this annual symposium. Today, the awardees will share how their work inspires them. As part of the presentation, our awardees will reflect on the transformative effect their legacy of work has had on our students, the local community, and on society, and how that has led to their own professional achievements. And I am looking forward to hearing, because yesterday was motivating. It was a great time. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce Dr. Allison Baskey, who is the Dean of the College of Science and Interim Dean of the College of Engineering, who will introduce our awardees.
Thank you so much, Provost Brown, and it is a thrill to be able to introduce all three awardees here. And I'll just note, I think it's been 3 years since we had an in-person Provost Award event, so this is very exciting. So to begin, as we see here, I am so pleased to introduce the 2022 Provost Award for Excellence in Teaching, Dr. Paul Beardsley, who is a professor of biological sciences in the College of Science and director for the Center for Excellence in Mathematics and Science Teaching, or what we call CMAST. Dr. Beardsley joined Cal Poly Pomona in 2011 and has served as an educator for over 27 years, so prior to joining us, for middle school through postdoctoral students. His research interests include botany and K-12 science education, where he focuses on the improvement of student learning and teaching methods in areas such as evolutionary biology. At Cal Poly Pomona, he has served as PI or co-PI for grants totaling over $11 million to develop and study teaching interventions that support all students. Such grants deliver intensive professional development for teachers in collaborative partnerships with school districts, universities, and research institutes. Currently, Dr. Beardsley is PI for the $1.5 million, listen to this, Polytechnic for All STEM Success via an Inclusive Institution, and if you pick the right letters, that is PASSION, National Science Foundation HSI project. He is committed to active learning by doing and inclusive pedagogy that motivates students, in accordance with Robert Frost, who stated, "I am not a teacher, but an awakener." And now, if we have this correct, we are going to watch a brief video from Dr. Beardsley before we hear his in-person remarks here.
My name is Paul Beardsley. I'm director of the Center for Excellence in Mathematics and Science Teaching in the College of Science, and I'm also a professor in the Biological Sciences Department. There's a quote that I really appreciate from Robert Frost, who said, "I'm not a teacher, but an enlightener." And that phrase means a lot to me, because our job really can't be just disseminators of information, right? Phones can replace us if that's the case. But our job is to educate for freedom, educate for citizenry, educate to open one's mind. So if we see our role as not just disseminators of facts, but people there to inspire and enlighten the students in front of us, I think that really changes the way we view teaching. My favorite part of teaching for sure is getting to know the students, getting to see how they grow and develop and change over the years that we have them here at Cal Poly, and watching them come in as, freshmen that might have a lot of questions, not be sure of their environment, and watching them graduate. And the day of graduation is just so exciting when they're off and ventured onto their careers. And we're in the business of trying to change lives and trying to inspire students, and that's what I love most about teaching. Teaching is a thrilling adventure, but it can also be a very difficult adventure, especially if you're doing it by yourself. A lot of times when the classroom starts, the door closes, you're in there and you can be on your own. And that can be intimidating. It can be difficult, especially if things aren't going well. So what we do a lot in CMAS is try to build a community. Let's open up our practice. Let's share things that are working well. Let's share what some of our challenges are, because I guarantee you the other faculty are experiencing some of the same challenges. So let's talk about it. What things am I trying that have worked well? What things are you trying that work well? And we're all going to steal from each other because we want to do our best for our students. Cal Poly Pomona is a special place. Faculty here really care about our students. We want them to be successful. I mean, our tagline is an inclusive polytechnic. What does that mean? It means we care about our students, we want them involved, we want them doing things, we want them to learn by doing, and that's why it's just a special place to be. The best advice I can give about teaching is get to know who your students are. Don't just see them as seats that are filled, right? Or empty heads to be filled with facts. Get to know who they are, what inspires them, what do they want to be, what are their ideas about things. If you can get to that point, gosh, then you can have a relationship, and then you can really be that inspiring, enlightening teacher that you hope to be.
Paul Beardsley to the podium.
Does this work? Let me try that. Is that good? No? Oh, works now. Can we go to the slide? Thanks. All right, well, thank you, Provost Brown. Thank you to the search committee, or the selection committee. I know it's hard work choosing among the candidates, and thanks to all the mentors I have who are here in the audience. I see Jody, I see Michael Page, I see Arlo, Barrett, so many people that have inspired me in terms of teaching. There's Nina. So I just want to start by saying I love biology. It's the greatest topic, and I've had the immense pleasure to study these amazingly gorgeous plants called monkey flowers for over 2 decades. I mean, just look at those. Don't you want to go out and collect them and study them and learn about their ecology, their evolution, and their biochemistry, and especially if you get to go with your kids and let them collect the plants too. So many stories to tell, like this red pollinated plant up here that grows in the foothills of the San Gabriels, or this pink bee pollinated flower, which grows high in the Sierras. And we discovered this small selfing plant that's also closely related. So I love biology, and I can talk about it all day, and I have. But as some of my friends and I like to say, I don't teach biology, I teach students. And so what's equally inspiring to me is this picture of Sophie and Sean, who were first-year biology students, taking intro bio, never been on a plant collecting trip before. Sophie wore the wrong shoes. She wore brand new shoes. They got all muddy. They were out collecting plants for 5 minutes, and within 5 minutes, they found a never-before-seen hybrid between this small species and this larger species. I told them that is not how it goes. Usually it's a lot more work than that. But them doing that work is inspiring to me. Sophie went and grew up the plants that she had found and found this tremendous diversity, kind of helped power her love of biodiversity. So I teach students. And I think that the better we know our students, their ideas, their hopes, their dreams, and their challenges, I think the better we can teach them. So allow me one more story. These are 2 students from a class I taught in plant ecology in Colorado. So the student in the foreground here, they're studying one of the rarest monkey flowers in Colorado. And she got totally jazzed by studying these plants. Went on to study molecular ecology for a PhD. She's now a professor at University of San Francisco. Someone who loved the content, and that's, as someone who also loves the content, that's great. But the other young woman in the back, that was Autumn, and she, like a lot of our students, wasn't exactly sure what she wanted to do with her life. She had some thoughts about maybe going into teaching, but wasn't getting a lot of support for that route. And so Autumn and I we talked about some of the value of, having a career where your job is to inspire young people. I forgot the conversation. Now 19 years later, this is Autumn at the White House, one of 4 finalists for Teacher of the Year, the Colorado Teacher of the Year in 2020. She and her students were responsible for a new state park, played a big role in establishing a new state park in Colorado at Sweetwater Lake. So, the fact that I played maybe even just a small, tiny role in having her make this decision, that's what gets me up in the morning. That's what gets me through the long list of emails to do the work that we need to do. She's going to speak to our Cal Poly students later this year, so we'll get to meet Autumn. So we want to be an inclusive university, and I told you a couple stories, and those are great, but I'm also an education researcher and a scientist, so when I suggest things that I think we should do for teaching, I also like to support those with data. So one of the things I think we should do is try to make students' thinking visible. How People Learn is a book that came out more than 20 years ago. One of the major findings is students come to our class with ideas about the way the world works, right? And we should be taking that into mind if we actually want to make long-term changes in long-term learning. So, for example, I could ask you or the freshman in my class, your friend decides to take advantage of the wonderful exercise opportunities around our beautiful campus, loses 25 pounds. Where did that mass go? And I've been asking this since I started here, and I can guarantee you 85% or more of the students are going to miss this question, right? It's a pattern in student thinking. It's not their fault. I'm not blaming them. It's hard to recognize this carbon dioxide is an invisible gas and it has mass and they're breathing it out. It's just hard to learn. But once we know that's a pattern in their thinking, we can design our instruction around it. And so some of the first data I collected when I was here is just to show if you get students to understand their misconceptions and then reflect on them, you can get big changes in their understanding. So there are some papers published at the time showed, oh, look, we can get up to this %, but our students outperform those. So knowing patterns of student thinking is really powerful. Now, sometimes, understanding patterns of thinking around matter and energy, that's important to know. But some concepts are even more important. So, for example, some of our students' ideas, and all of our ideas about human biological diversity and race, there's plenty of misconceptions on this topic. So, for example, if I asked you, how much genetic variation do you think there is among groups of people with ancestry from different continents, and asked you to make some predictions, you might think, is there a little overlap? Is there many differences but some similarities too, or is there a lot of overlap? So, you might think I'm not going to ask you to reflect on your own answer, but the point is, this is what reality looks like, and most people don't recognize that we're mostly the same. So of the 0.1% of DNA that differs among people, 96% of human genetic variation occurs between individuals within a continent. Now, that's an interesting fact, but a lot of people misunderstand that, and that can lead to some difficult ideas. In fact, Adam Rutherford, in this great book called How to Argue with the Races, says the misunderstandings of genetics and genealogy are a fuel for reinforcing racism. This is a problem unique to the biological sciences. So these are patterns of thinking that we can identify, and we can do something about it as educators. In fact, Christian Aquino, who was Kellogg's honor scholar last year, got really interested in some of this, and we said, well, how do our students think on some of these questions? And this is him presenting a poster at Albuquerque last year. And what we found is that 3/4 of our students in non-majors biology have major misconceptions about biology and race. That's not surprising. That's pretty consistent with general society. But education can make a difference. So he designed a 30-minute lesson, and we just ran it. It was just an online lecture with some questions. And we saw that if we expose our students to this information, knowing some common patterns of thinking, we can get a really large change, more than an effect size of 2.36, which is really large for education. We can make a difference. So understanding patterns of student thinking can be really important. I also think it's really important to attend to student motivation. I'll provide some evidence for that. I'll talk about one experiment that was done by a graduate student of mine, Sai Chuang, who's now proudly a lecturer for Cal Poly Biology Department. And so what we did is 3 times a quarter. This is back when we're on the quarter system. 3 times, all right, this didn't take long. Students read quotes from other students about how the content of the course related to their lives. It took them about 20 minutes, really. The students ranked the quotes. They said, well, which ones do I think are important to me? And then they explained why, all right? So what we found is that it didn't matter for students that were academically well prepared, right? So if you look at their grades, about the same. If you look at their how much they valued the course material, about the same. But for students that came to our classes underprepared, they had less math experience, it made a giant difference. Almost a full letter grade, something that took 20 minutes, right? So helping them reflect on the value of the course and how it relates to their own lives raised their grades by almost a full point and left them with more enthusiasm and understanding the value than our academically prepared students. They don't all work like this. There's plenty of experiments we tried that didn't see a result, but we're excited because of Nina and Vivian Serenian. We're trying to replicate these experiments in physics and calculus and getting some interesting results. I guess that's all I can say about that at this point. But the point is, to do those well, you have to know your students. And I guess just the final thing I'll say is it takes a village, right? So meaningful change only comes from working together and taking risks. So I'll give you a couple examples of those. So the first, as Allison mentioned, is this wonderful passion project. We've had the privilege of working with some amazing people. Victoria, my personal hero, Arlo, Jessica and Jessica Perez and Vivian Sereni in psychology. People from different colleges and departments across the university trying to solve some problems. We're trying to work together to create an inclusive atmosphere within the classroom by attending to motivation and other social psychological factors. You can't summarize 5 years worth of work in a few seconds, but I'll tell you one part of that project I'm super excited about, which is that the motivation revolution is underway. Please join us. We've been able to partner with the Motivate Lab and help faculty in chemistry, biology, and now math and statistics learn about growth mindset, purpose and relevance, and sense of belonging, and not just learn what those are, but how to implement them in our own courses. I also want to highlight some of the work we're trying to do in evolution education. Yes, learning evolution is hard. Our minds just weren't built to think about deep time or recognize how changes in populations and not individuals. You have to put in a lot of purposeful effort to understand that. Layered on top of that are metaphysical concerns, right? I like to say physics and calculus are hard, but if people learn them, they aren't afraid their whole worldview is going to have to change. But some of our students learning evolution feel that way. And in a way, a lot of us teach it, it's not really relevant to students' lives. So I'm really proud of some partnerships I've been able to be a part of, authoring these curriculum supplements while working with teachers, education researchers, scientist organizations, such as the Smithsonian, BSES Science Learning, and we've now disseminated these and touched hundreds of thousands of kids. In fact, I'm really proud of some work we're doing right now in Alabama, a place where teaching about evolution has a lot of challenges. There's a lot of brave teachers taking on a research project, and one of the things we've learned is if we know our students and we can proactively address some of the concerns they might have about learning evolution, it can help allay some of their fears so they're not as anxious going into it and that they develop a better content understanding. And then, of course, I have to talk about the great project,
RESPECT project, Reinvigorating Elementary Science Through Partnerships with California Teachers, or the RESPECT project. At the time, I don't know if it still is, but it was the largest grant we had at Cal Poly Pomona, which was, there's Homera working with teachers. Great partnership with, again, Arlo, there's Stephanie Baker, Nikki, and Kathy. We partner with Pomona Unified School District and BSCS Science Learning. And just to give you a sense of scale, we trained 40 elementary teachers, K through 6. They did 3 years of professional development, right? That's a huge commitment for an elementary teacher who might have not been psyched about science in the first place. And then those teachers ended up delivering professional development to other teachers, so like 80 other teachers over a year. So we touched in that project 6,000 students, but of course that's just a start because those teachers keep teaching. Don't ever do a project like this unless you can work with Bernie, Mai, and Becky, because they manage this army of student assistants. But again, it takes teamwork to do this kind of thing and make it happen. Again, you can't summarize a big project like that in one slide, but I'm going to try. So what we showed is that the teachers can get their students to learn science content at a very high level, and the teachers taught by the other teachers can also get their students to learn the content at a high level, which is a really great finding, especially in Pomona, where over 90% of the students are from groups minoritized in STEM. So that's very encouraging to us. So it shows that sustained positive growth for elementary teachers and students in large urban district is possible with that teamwork and understanding about how to teach. I love teaching. It's been a privilege to be able to do it for 28 years. And I think more people should get the opportunity to explore it. So it's the final thing I'll say. We're excited to be starting a new program in CMAS where we're going to encourage people who want to go into teaching, provide them a little bit of travel money, and encourage them to go see the world. We're going to call it the CPP Teach Adventure. You get travel money, you have to go do an internship with teachers from anywhere in the world. So we're excited to get that launched. Don't have all the details figured out yet. Anyway, thank you for the opportunity to speak. And
thank you, Paul, for an inspiring talk there. I'm just so proud to see Autumn up there since I'm from Colorado, as you know. That was really amazing, and the inclusive teaching. And if you haven't read about how people learn and so on, that was pretty powerful that I read in my first year of teaching. So the next slide do we have coming up here? Our next awardee. Here it comes. Uh-oh. Oh, just the first slide. Okay, here we go. Next, I am pleased to introduce the 2022 Provost Award for Excellence in Scholarly and Creative Activities, Dr. Wen Chang, Professor of Civil Engineering in the College of Engineering. And I didn't write this in the script, but he also got the Provost Award for Teaching a few years ago. So Dr. Chang obtained his PhD from Arizona State University and joined Cal Poly Pomona in 2009. His research focuses on the transportation sector, so think of him when you're on the highways, and examines areas such as highway safety, advanced traffic operations strategies, highway design, and the application of machine learning in transportation, where we see our future here. Dr. Chang has received approximately $3 million in research grants and has published more than 100 peer-reviewed journal papers and conference proceedings with both his students and colleagues. He also serves as an editorial board member for multiple journals. Since he obtained the first research grant with Caltrans, Dr. Chang has maintained a strong relationship with them for more than 10 years. This has resulted in continued research funding and a critical partnership that has supported numerous senior group projects with Caltrans and a career pathway to the industry for our students. And I have a deep appreciation now of this as interim dean and seeing how it has impacted so many students in engineering. And so now let's watch our brief video from Dr. Chang.
Originally, I was born in a small village in China, Yellow Mountain, beautiful city, full of the wandering roads. And I remember when I was about 4 or 5 years old, I got a chance to see my neighbor. His kid brought a candy. That was the first time I see the candy, okay? That boy just gave me a small piece. Oh my gosh, I found, okay, that is so sweet, okay? Unfortunately, because of the isolated area, there is almost impossible to get the candy, the toys, from the nearby town. Even though physically it's not that far, but because of the wandering roads, we don't have any other transportation means instead of, walking. With the outside help, our roadway constructions starts sometime in 1980s. All of a sudden, we found, okay, even though our life is more convenient, unfortunately, there are some bad things happens at the same time. For example, one of our friends in the village, okay, he rode his bike and then all of a sudden collided with a car turning on the roadway. There is no special warning and no road signs to give the warning message to both parties. My friends, just get injured seriously, in the accident. And then later, either from TV or from other, means, I see the traffic accident. Actually, it's not just happening in our village, it happens everywhere. My current research is focused on the traffic safety. Our ultimate goal is to make our roadway safer and our life happier. And since 2010, one of my major projects is to rank the traffic safety of all incorporated cities and counties in California. So once we have an accurate ranking, then we can direct the limited safety resources to the much needed areas. So after we identify the hotspots in cities and counties, and then we can conduct a detailed engineering analysis and try to find the reason behind the roadway hotspots. Our research tried to incorporate the deep artificial intelligence and the deep learning technology into it, such as computer vision or some other advanced methodology to locate the human errors associated with the accident, and then also to identify the problematic designs of the roadways. So this way we can address the traffic crashes from different aspects, including the engineering design, including the vehicle design, and the human behaviors. I'm so lucky because I have such a wonderful, department. My colleagues, they are so helpful, they're so supportive, and they are dedicated, and they have lots of passion in teaching and doing research with our students. I just need to work hard and try my best so I can satisfy my work and to match, the passion and hard work of our wonderful faculty and students.
Just test. Okay, good. It's recording right now? Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here today. And thank you, Dean Buskey, for such a wonderful introduction. With that said, I have to say, what an amazing video, right? I cannot believe it's me in the video. So before I get started, I have a quick question to Dr. Brown. Dr. Brown, do I really look as great as I show in the video? Okay. Absolutely, thank you. Thank you for your confirmation. That means a lot to me. So everyone, it's with my great pleasure and honor to receive such a prestigious award on campus. For this award, I have many people to say thank you. Maybe I can start with Dr. Brown. Okay, thank you for your inspirational opening remarks and wonderful lunch yesterday. We appreciate. And also, we'd like to thank the great voluntary work of the selection committee. They put lots of time and efforts and select 3 lucky members, right, out of so many, other excellent peer faculty. And also see Associate Deans Ellen, Ron, thank you for your support, especially Dean Busky. You probably is one of the most proud and busy members today in the floor because she need to introduce awardees 3 times in a row. Okay. Last time I saw you in the public event is back in May at our commencement. If I remember correctly, you have a beautiful curly hair. Look great, all right? Today you have a gray, you have a straight hair, but it also look great. I don't know exactly how great it is, probably at least as great as what I look in the video. No worries, Dr. Brown just confirmed it's very nice, right? Okay. And also, I'd like to, I see some of my colleagues over there, right? Sima and Department Chair Yasser, maybe others, okay. But to them, I would like to say, I love you all. To serve around 1,500 students on campus, and probably the largest civil engineering department across the entire nation. Okay, we faculty treat each other like family members. We coordinate with each other, we support each other. Sometimes we argue with each other, but all for the best interest of our students, right? And also I see Diana, the previous staff from Provost office, and Mary and Marissa. Thank you for being so organized and sending us much needed information and reminders for this event. And lastly, I want to say thank you to Richard, who interviewed me and developed such a wonderful video for me. And a couple years ago, he developed another video for me, and because of the COVID-19, that video was developed remotely to help me look better in the video. He even applied the artificial intelligence technology on my eyebrows, okay? So it's very beautiful, very impressive, I have no complaint, but since he's not here today, I have a small recommendation to him. When he applied the AI techniques to replace my eyebrows, remember to replace both of my eyebrows. Okay, not just one of them. Okay. I still don't know what's the reason, Maybe my left ones look better to him. Maybe my right one was not in its best condition. Maybe he's just so busy and totally forgot I have 2 eyebrows. Who knows, right? Hey, come on, Richard. I'm a human being. I have 2 eyebrows, okay? All right, but yeah, so now I am supposed to have 10 minutes of presentation, but I found I almost spent half of a minute to go through my thank you note, okay? All of a sudden, I realized why those awardees at Hollywood, they would like to say thank you to so many people. It's a great strategy to kill some time in the presentation. Did I miss anyone? Provost, right? Deans, colleagues, or my wife. How can I forget her? Yeah, I put her as the last. Doesn't mean she's the least. She's just very close to the least. Okay. Okay. Let me put it this way. Nothing can stop her assigning me all kinds of housework during the COVID-19, except doing research. So now everybody, the main reason I get the research award. Doing research is not just my passion. It's also one of the important tools for me to survive in a marriage life. Okay, so yeah, and so now let's get back to my main point, the research. All right, I'm sorry, such a long opening remarks. And as mentioned by Dean Busky, My main research field is traffic safety. It's not a very cutting-edge field, but it's closely related with our daily life. For example, I just happen to know, Kiri, right? You are a accident survivor, you know. So when she was young, she got involved in accidents. So as of today, we still have around 30,000 people lost their life on the roadway. And with California claiming slightly more than 10% of those fatalities. So we have a long way to go. We have a long way to go. My first research in the state originates from my driving experience to California. You know, I graduated from Arizona State University. Arizona has a speed limit of 75 miles per hour. And then, you know, back in 2006, I graduated, and then I got a job offer from one consulting firm in Novan. So that was my first time to drive to California. When I get close to Los Angeles areas, I found the speed limit drops to 65 miles per hour. You know, I told myself, as a newbie to this beautiful state, I better drive, you know, politely and properly so I can leave a great impression to the peer Californians, right? So I drive, you know, I strictly follow the speed limit, and then all of a sudden I found another car, boom, you know, overtake me with super fast speed. And I told myself maybe that guy was in an emergency situation. And then immediately, you know, after that vehicle, another vehicle quickly passed me. And I thought those two guys might be in the family emergency situation, okay. And then until 20 vehicles passed me quickly, then I realized one thing. Nobody is in the emergency situation. But if I continue driving with a speed limit of 65 miles per hour, I may be in the emergency room very quickly. You know? So then later, I collected lots of data, collision data from different states and time. I found it's not the speed limit. It's not the actual running speed. It's the difference of those, you know, speeds that constitute the major contributing factors to the accident occurrence. So later, due to my PhD research experience, I was selected by Caltrans and Office Traffic Safety to rank the statewide traffic safety situations across 580 incorporated cities and 58 counties. And recently, due to the quick advancement of software and hardware technologies, my research interests, you know, switched to the safety in self-driving cars or autonomous vehicles. And this is a relatively new field. I really enjoy growing with this field, at least more enjoyable than growing with my two daughters, you know. They always, whenever possible, they always, you know, attach me, all right? So sometimes I have to apply the 6 feet social distance rule to them. So I can create a 6 feet radius, right? Quiet place where I can enjoy my research. Okay. The bad thing is recently our president announced the COVID-19, right, is officially over. Now looks like I need to find a new method to keep them away. Oh my gosh, it's so frustrated. Okay, I don't know how to do. And then, you know, so this is the new field. Lots of people may think, okay, the safety won't be a problem anymore because we remove the human-related errors, including the bad behaviors, right, the mental and the physical conditions from the driving task. So we should be safer if the self-driving is implemented. But actually, it's not the case. Even in the self-driving, we still have lots of safety concerns, such as the lack of self-driving regulations, the lack of perfect technology to handle the extremely, you know, driving conditions sometimes, and maybe the cyber security and attack, all right? And probably the risk of files and so on. So we still have a long way to go. So this is the relatively new field. Sometimes I feel tired by handling those new technology, but luckily, I have enormous driving force from my students. I have many great examples, just to share a few of them today. The good example, the first great example is Gurdil Gill, and he is the international graduate student from India. He was placed in the probational basis because he got a C from one of the major graduate courses during the first semester of his study at Cal Poly. So to remove his hold, so he wrote me a very long email outlining the multiple reasons why he didn't do a great job in the first semester, and listing the strategies to improve his performance and the GPA in the near future. When I see this email, I was totally impressed by his critical thinking skills and writing capability. So I offer him a research assistant position. Amazingly, this guy turned some of my data and results into a high-quality journal paper within 3 months, published by one of the prestigious journals named Accident Analysis and Prevention. Since then, he was super crazy about doing research and set up so many deadlines to me for things like paper polishing, results discussion, data collection, and so on. To be honest, after my PhD advisor, he may be the first one to set up so many deadlines to me, No, I'm wrong. No, he's not the first one. Guess who is the first one? My wife. Okay, okay. My wife is the first one. So, but anyway, within 2.5 years of graduate study on campus, he managed to publish 18 peer-reviewed journal papers. Now, later he was admitted to the PhD program at University of British Columbia with full financial aid. Now, yeah, he's in great shape of getting his degree. So for this student, probably we can, I'm not sure whether you know it or not, just a couple of days ago, the Nobel Prize announced the winners in physics, right? One of them is John Clauser. He had a sort of similar situations like Gurdil, because John has the huge contribution to quantum entanglement, but he failed to pass his quantum mechanics courses twice during his undergraduate study at CIT, California Institute of Technology. So don't get me wrong, the main reason I'm sharing this story is not to tell you that almost everything is possible. My main intention is to make you feel less guilty next time when you fail your students, right? Who knows? Maybe you are helping develop another Nobel Prize winner, right, in California. It's possible, all right? Did I say almost everything is possible? Yes, right? Because I'm pretty sure one thing is impossible, okay? If you didn't finish the stuff by the deadline set by your wife, having a peaceful sleep overnight is impossible. I'm pretty sure, okay? Just based on my personal opinion, all right? I'm not speaking for other gentlemen sitting right here, all right? So, Paul, all right, so that's his case. Another great example is undergraduate Shen. He's crazy about the geospatial analysis, and in order to collect the highest, quality data for computer vision analysis, he's willing to drive the vehicles and fly the drones in all kinds of different situations. Rainy day and sunny day, daytime and nighttime, and large or small communities, rural or urban areas, due to his enormous efforts. Over 2 papers get published in one of the best journal papers. And he himself just graduated this summer and was awarded to one of the best geospatial program at Purdue University. Yeah, so Dr. Brown, yesterday we talked about Purdue. Yeah, so Purdue with full financial aid as well. So the list can go on and on. And some other brief examples like Teresa, she's the girl who would like to postpone all her meals and sleep just to solve a simple research confusion. And we also have students like Korea. He was in the 8-week research program in Brazil, but he never missed any of the regular weekly meeting on Friday, even due to the great time zone difference. And Dean Buskey, another student, should be very proud. His name is Tony. He actually is one of the valedictorians from computer science, the College of Science. And he intentionally delayed some job offers just in order for the extension of doing research with us on campus. And out of so many great examples, I have to mention one special student named Omar Ramirez. I'm not sure, Sima, whether you remember that student or not. And that student is my student assistant. We did research together on a daily basis in the summer back in 2011. He managed to do the presentation on campus as undergraduate students. And then in the same year, November, I got a phone call. He lost his life due to a car accident. Yeah, hydroplaning issues on Highway 215 out there. So I'm sharing his name is not just to memorize his name or celebrate his life, but also to remind myself the roadway to a safer driving setting is not smooth. Sometimes we have to face a painful sacrifice. Okay, so overall, no matter is human driving or self-driving, as long as we work hard together collectively, one day all of us can reach our dream safely. At least for my case, it's true. Why? Because all of you guys just made my dream come true today. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Wen, for your remarks. And I like the video, the genesis of why you went into transportation and all your stories about your students and how important it is on the roadways. So now we will move on to our last and final awardee of our day. So I'm very pleased to introduce the 2022 Provost Award for Excellence in Service, Dr. Phyllis Nelson, Professor of Electrical and Computer Engineering in the College of Engineering. Dr. Nelson joined Cal Poly Pomona in 1999 after working in the aerospace industry and as a research staff member at the Université Claude Bernard Lyon and UCLA. Currently, her research concerns the security and adaptability of complex autonomous cyber-physical systems. It sounds like it overlaps a little bit, right? They're machine learning. During more than 20 years at Cal Poly Pomona, Dr. Nelson has served on many university-level committees, including the Veteran Success Committee, several search committees, the CPP Foundation Board of Directors, and the Inclusive Excellence Council Executive Board. Currently, she is the Faculty Director of Data Analytics in the Provost Office. Dr. Nelson has also served the university in several leadership roles, including as Department Chair, Co-Director of the Center for Macromolecular Modeling and Materials Design, and as Vice Chair and Chair of the Academic Senate. In particular, I want to commend Dr. Nelson on leading the Senate during the first year of the pandemic. She championed a variety of policies to support students and the faculty in our new remote learning environment. Just one of those policies was offering students the opportunity to choose credit and no credit grades, and that had to be reviewed and approved through the Senate. And I think it was very critical in helping our students in a very difficult time in their lives. So with that, let's watch a brief video here from Dr. Nelson.
I'm Phyllis Nelson. I'm a professor of electrical and computer engineering at Cal Poly Pomona and a proud Bronco. I'm an alum and a first generation in my family to graduate from college. My father was an engineer, and I guess it's in the genes because my father's brother was a chemical engineer. My grandfather was a plumber, and the family had a hardware store on 4th Street in East LA starting before 4th Street was paved. I can remember when I grew up, my grandfather would take me to the store when he was babysitting me and give me plumbing parts that didn't work and say, "Tell me why this doesn't work." I think that was probably a wonderful preparation for what I do. Early in my career as faculty, I joined a committee of the Academic Senate, one of the committees, and met a lot of interesting people, had a good time. And so I served on some more committees and eventually ran to become a senator, and finally became vice chair and then chair. And had a wonderful opportunity to meet people across campus, both in the administration and the wonderful range of faculty that teach here and do all sorts of amazing and inspiring things. I'm very much a sponsor of the Veterans Resource Center, and I've been involved with them for many years, watching them grow and get more successful over time. A number of years ago, I had 2 students in one of my classes. Both of them were veterans. They became close friends, but I saw also the struggles that they had in dealing with the VA, and I thought that this is a group of students that really makes a difference on our campus and that deserve to have better service. So when the Veterans Resource Center was established, I stepped up and said I really wanted to be on their advisory board, and I've done that ever since. The same approach to service, I think, helps me in my private life. I live in Mount Baldy, which is a small village, and it's a place where everybody needs to step up and help the community to do things. My choice was the fire department. I had been a mountaineer earlier in my life, and the idea of having some friends to go dangle over the side and help people seemed like it would be a lot of fun, and it was. And the sense of community in a volunteer fire department is very special. So I've done that since I joined Cal Poly Pomona in 1999. And also because it's a small community, there's the school's pancake breakfast to flip pancakes for, and Christmas caroling with the community club at Christmas time. All of which are just wonderful ways to meet my neighbors and help to make the community a better place. The reason that I enjoy service is that I'm actually an introvert, and it's a way for me to get out and engage with people and have some structure to the interactions. And what I've found is that if I were to do sort of my thing all the time, it would be that I'd be sitting in front of a computer simulating or writing or doing things, and eventually I need some input. I need a balance, and service has provided that balance.
Phyllis.
You know, it's tough to be the last one to talk, and it's also tough to follow a couple of people who are clearly not introverts. You know, one of the great things right now is to look out in this audience and see so many people that I know and that I've worked with in various ways over time. That's just fantastic, and it's the various kinds of service that I've engaged in that have allowed me to meet all of you, and I really appreciate that. I think I'm going to take a slightly different tack and talk a little bit about why I think service is important in society. You know, as faculty, we have our retention, tenure, and promotion process, and we know that every faculty member needs to do their share of service to get there. And that means staffing department, college, and university committees. And then after that, of course, you get your arm bent to be on the RTP committee of your department or your college. That needs to be done too. And, you know, we need the academic senate. It's the voice of the faculty and the partner with the administration in making policy on this campus. And if we don't have faculty step up and and talk about what we need as faculty in those policies, they're just going to get made. So we need faculty to come and speak up for faculty, and I have to say that it was both an honor and at times extremely intimidating to be the one voice of faculty, especially, Dean Baskey didn't mention the other challenge that I had was implementing a very unpopular ethnic studies course while I was chair of the Senate. It was unpopular with a variety of people for a wide variety of reasons, and had to be done. And especially for an introvert, that was kind of an interesting challenge. It required a lot of talking to people. It required a lot of, hey, you don't have a choice about this, by the way. So this could be nice or this could be not fun, but we need to do this. So that was really exciting. But there's another thing that Dean Baskey mentioned. I was department chair for 4 years. And department chairs are underappreciated. First of all, I don't know of any other position where you're responsible for getting people to do a lot of things and you don't really have any authority. You're trying to lead as a colleague. One of my longtime good friends, who is a Jesuit priest, sent me a wonderful email. He said, "You know, I'm reminded of the Good Friday, of the Ash Wednesday service. Remember, chair, that thou art faculty, and unto faculty thou shalt return." I see Brett over there, who's chair of the math and stats department, laughing really hard because she knows what I'm talking about for sure. So, anytime that you're frustrated with your department chair, just have a little compassion there, okay? It's a tough job. And you're often stuck between a dean and the faculty. So, I did 4 years and I was really happy. My current department chair, I think, is out there in the audience, and I really appreciate that she took over. But beyond that, faculty are also responsible for creating knowledge. And that process, which you've heard from two really expert people already, requires a huge amount of service that we often forget. You've heard about journal papers. Well, somebody, usually 3 somebodies, has to review them. And that review is done for free. That's something that we all need to do to keep the profession alive and to keep it moving. It's, I think, underappreciated, especially the amount of time to do a really good review of a paper. It takes hours. It takes a lot of thought to give people the feedback to make that paper better. Conferences. One of my research collaborators is sitting up here in the front row, Dr. Kirsty Melman, and she's retired, so she took on being co-general chair of 2 conferences this year. I think that's sort of over the top, but it's a good thing she's retired because I'm sure that she doesn't want to be bored while she's retired. But the conference organizing committees do that for free, so that we can have conferences. All professional societies have a few paid staff, and they're kind of the ones who, send out some reminder emails and this and that, but they don't set the program, they don't choose the papers, they don't set the theme. This is a community activity. Standards committees. You ever think of that? How do we get standards? Yeah. Because people from industry and academia serve on standards committees and help generate consensus for how we ought to do things. You probably never think of how your computer thinks about decimal numbers, but there's a standard for that. developed by the IEEE and became international. And finally, accreditation. That's a little bit of a current thing for me, because I spent last weekend and Monday and Tuesday in Denver and got back Wednesday morning at 1 a.m. because I'm an AVET program evaluator. But somebody has to do that. Somebody has to go in and help programs think about how to be better, and give some outside input, get some thoughtfulness in just what are other people doing? I mean, serving as a program evaluator is a great way to find great ideas from other campuses. But as you saw in the video, service is larger than that. Society needs you too. And the easy things that people think of are, soup kitchens, food pantries, poll workers, parent-teacher organizations, although I have to admit when my kids were small that was a little painful. Several groups that I'm really passionate about, and you saw it. First of all, the people who fight fires in this country. Yeah, if you're not from a big city, you maybe understand this a little bit better. It turns out that approximately 70% of the firefighters in the United States are volunteers. Yeah. Now, not in big cities. We have professional departments in big cities, and there's good reason for that. I'm not really trained in going up a bunch of stairs and figuring out a building and, how to do that. I know a lot about, fires in small buildings, especially wooden ones, because we have a lot of that where I'm from at the moment. But only about 18% of fire departments nationally are actually mostly or all paid firefighters. And that's a tough profession. It involves a lot of technology, it involves a lot of learning. And, activities like that, we're having harder and harder time getting people who want to volunteer to do those things. I don't know. Is it that video games are more attractive? But these are wonderful social activities. They're really bonding kinds of things, team sorts of things, and great chances for people to get together. And the other one is mountain rescue. Mountain rescue nationwide. In the state of California, mountain rescue is done by volunteers who are organized by the county sheriffs. It's in the state constitution. And one of the mottos of people who do search and rescue is, mountains don't care, but we do. And I can tell you personally, because although I've been on the fire department, I've supported radio activities for our local search and rescue team. And, when you're looking for somebody who's been lost in the ice for 3 or 4 days, and it's getting grim, and, it really helps to have that bond and a team of people. So, next time that you think about, what might you do for society, there are a lot of choices. And there are great opportunities to get to know and work with other people. So, I want to thank everybody who supported me when I was Senate Chair, because it was an interesting ride. And I know there are a few people here. One of the people who is just essential to my success, I think she's here, is Diane Gonzalez. And I don't know if people know, she was the, yeah. and I don't think they're here, but Valeriato and Cassandra Horner, because I was sort of the face on Zoom, but I had a team who were running Zoom for me with Val and Cassandra, but also Diane in the background was my parliamentarian, and so she was texting me all the time. Oh, he's going over his time, or did you remember? And so all of these things take a team, and just think about the people that that you need to work with to make things go. It's all important. Thank you.
Wow, we've heard from three wonderful folks within our Cal Poly community. I was taking notes as I was listening to each of you so that I could do closing remarks, and I just have to share some themes that I heard. So first, I want to start off by saying I learned something new every day on this campus. I consider myself a lifelong learner. I love to learn and engage with people, like-minded folks. I'm going to call you family, okay? So I hope you embrace it. We are family. And I felt that today. Couple of things. Growth mindset. And I think about, I'm glad that we talked about at lunch what we discussed, the evolution of hearing who each of you are and what drives you is just, it's so uplifting. I think about Dr. Chen saying it was luck, but I wrote, no, it's not luck, it's intentionality. It's intentionality. I also wrote down Dr. Chen is a comedian and that there are many facets to people on this campus. I also wrote that Cal Poly Pomona is a special place with world-class faculty, right? And what I learned from the three of you, what I hope to continue to learn from folks as I engage, is that in our ethos, is that we change lives. I heard it from each one of you. We all change lives. Dr. Chen talked about making the unknown possible, and I thought about, just applied research, the Polytechnic experience, learn by doing. I'm not looking at someone in the audience when I say that, but I think that it's so important for us to engage with each other and talk about what are the things that make this community and this world a better place. And I know that sounds cliche, but it is very important. When Dr. Nelson spoke, I was touched when I saw the Veterans Resource Center, when you shared everyone steps up to help the community, that there should be a sense of community, that there is making the community a better place. I wrote selfless service and commitment to the profession, right? And if I go back up to Dr. Beardsley, making the world better, the learning revolution, it is just amazing. So here are some things that came from today. We're changing lives. 3 wonderful examples of this. Making students come alive. The growth mindset is important. That sustained positive growth is possible. That service is important to society, and it is. I'll share really quickly. I was in a train accident many years ago while I was in graduate school, and I thought about that when you shared, who is there when you're looking for search and rescue, right? What is it about folks that bring them together? They don't have to be there. And I remember, the Red Cross showing up at this high school years later. How did they mobilize? How did they know these were the things that we needed that day, right? When folks like myself were in shock. They couldn't make sense of the world, right? And so what you've shared is so important. It's not just to our profession or to our campus, but it's also to our society. Volunteerism is what is the right thing to do. It is the right thing to do, And what do we need to do to uplift our society? And then I think about all of the conversations we had yesterday, right? And how important it is to make sure that as a campus community, we are bonding and we're developing talent, right? We're bonding within ourselves and we're developing talent. So I just want to share that this has been exceptional. I am excited. I don't know who the award winners will be next year, but this is a tough act to follow. So this was amazing. I appreciate everyone who came out. I am happy that we could do this in person. Shout out to Diane Gonzalez, right? Had honorable mention today. Thank you. And I just want to thank everyone here because I know that we're all working together as a campus community to uplift our colleagues, ourselves, our staff, and our students. And I thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you.